Welcome to Pittsburgh, the hub of the tri-state area. Experience now how we walk, run, and soar. This region is known for steel, sports, world-class colleges and universities, world-renowned hospitals and innovative medical procedures and cures. Home to Heinz 57 varieties, Alcoa Aluminum, Behr, PPG Paints, and Westinghouse are a few familiar names. A place of major industry known around the world. In 1758, French troops abandoned Fort Duquesne, and British forces officially named this place Pittsburgh. Since that time, innovation has been the hallmark of Pittsburgh and its neighboring communities. It is the place where things like railway tunnels, steel rails, alternating current, nuclear power, polio vaccine, radio and television, ketchup, organ transplants, and search engines were invented, and innovation continues to happen here.
Where two major rivers, the Allegheny and the Monongahela, come together to form the mighty Ohio River. Where Colonel George Washington spent time on horseback exploring this new territory. In similar fashion, a young Presbyterian minister from Philadelphia was an itinerant pastor traveling from homestead to homestead as he crossed over the Allegheny Mountains, performing ministerial duties as well as carrying the mail from the East in the mid-1700s. The Reverend John McMillan, a Johnny Appleseed of sorts. He planted churches, helping the Scotch-Irish settlers establish Presbyterianism throughout the region.
From a traditional minister in 1776, we span the years to other noteworthy events, this being one of the most concentrated areas of Presbyterians in the United States. Churches started popping up across Pennsylvania in the 1700s and 1800s, from Philadelphia to Carlisle to Hollidaysburg to Mount Pleasant to the Monroeville area just east of Pittsburgh along the Ford's Trail to Henry Highland Garnett, who served as a supply pastor at Grace Memorial Presbyterian Church, the first African-American Presbyterian church in Pittsburgh. Garnett was part of the movement to abolish slavery and helped with the Underground Railroad. Then Service Presbyterian Church near Aliquippa, where the roots for the present-day Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, our oldest seminary, became a springboard for a Presbyterian Mission Society formed through churches being connected to missionaries in 1837. These missionaries went out and served throughout the world. This year, we celebrate 175 years of mission for the Presbyterian Church, USA.
Two more churches forming across the region in neighborhoods and communities of all shapes and sizes, and then to the early 1900s, when Pittsburgh's change to being a green city began with Rachel Carson, writer, scientist, and ecologist who grew up in Springdale, Pennsylvania. In her book, Silent Spring, she challenged the practices of agricultural scientists and the government, and called for a change in the way humankind viewed the natural world and cared for it.
Fast forward to the invention of radio. Presbyterians could be heard on the first radio stations KDKA and KQV with worship services and faith healer Catherine Kuhlman. Unusual for Presbyterian churches, her faith healing ministry has a unique history at First Presbyterian Church of Pittsburgh, starting about 1950. 1958 in Pittsburgh was when Presbyterians reunited again at a General Assembly. Pittsburgh has been the site of 3 different denominational mergers within the Presbyterian family in the U.S.
African American ministers and elders took up the cause of civil rights during the 1960s with leaders like the Reverend Leroy Patrick following in the footsteps of Martin Luther King Jr. with nonviolent demonstrations for black people's rights.
Then we moved to the beginning of the first public television station, WQED, and a most unique call by God for children's programming with puppets, as Pittsburgh Presbytery ordained everyone's favorite neighbor, the Reverend Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers was a Presbyterian minister ordained to care for children and their families through television.